Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the sixth, the sixth and final, but at least for this season, because there's rumors they may be having a second season for some unknown reason. Oh, yeah, money and stupidity. Obi-Wan Kenobi, the TV series. Yeah, and so the series decided to end as it proceeded from the beginning in stupidity and nonsense. I'll get to that momentarily. But who's joining me on this beautiful Wednesday morning? Texas Attorney General Secret Agent, Star Saber, Jaeger Pony, Bridget, the useless cook. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. And all of you in the future and or lurking, no name, good morning. All right, well, let's get right into it. Now, if you recall from the end of the last episode, as you can see here, our third sister, Inquisitor Reva, former youngling of the Jedi Temple who somehow survived Order 66 and conceivably being stabbed by Darth Vader at that time and now being stabbed by Darth Vader again and still surviving, still left alive, has discovered the convenient recording of Bail Organa indicating that there is a child on Tatooine that Obi-Wan is there to protect and or Bail will go protect, and Reva has no reference for what this child means to anybody except that it's a child that Obi-Wan cares about. Reva has no idea of the significance of Leia, has no idea of the significance of Luke, but she's dying, and her first concern, her first thought is to run off and kill a kid. Hero, everybody. But, okay, now I want y'all to think for a second here. Okay, so she is on the planet Jabiim currently, right? All right. This planet, as far as I know, is just off in the distance somewhere in the Star Wars galaxy. Reva is lying on the ground, stabbed through the gut with a lightsaber, conceivably dying, but of course she's not going to die. The Empire has shown up with the Darth Vader and the Grand Inquisitor, the re-anointed Grand Inquisitor after Reva was Grand Inquisitor for about 5 minutes, and a Star Destroyer in orbit, etc. Okay, and they left. Right, the Empire cleared out. They're gone. The decoy rebel transport, I'm going to call them rebels, even though they're not rebels yet. But anyway, the decoy rebel transport is in tatters. The functioning rebel transport is off in space escaping without a hyperdrive. So they're operating at sublight speed. They're basically going in neutral through the stars. Okay. And Reva's here on Jabiim, and she's wounded. And so show opens, and the first thing we are shown is Tatooine. We're back on Tatooine. Again, a almost completely human populated Tatooine. Okay, and so I'm thinking, well, we must have jumped ahead in time. Because who comes up to harass some of these citizens but Reva? It's Reva on Tatooine. And so I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, how many days have passed since the last episode? Because the last episode kind of left everybody hanging by a thread, right? The rebels were on that transport. They're being chased by the Star Destroyer. They don't have hyperdrive engines, and their power is low, and they've got all these problems. And I'm thinking, what? Well, no, you see, guys, what happened was, and this is just my headcanon here, Reva, mortally wounded, lying on the ground on a completely alien planet where the Empire has cleared out and taken away, conceivably, all nearby modes of transportation, because the only one that Reva had access to was an Imperial ship, which you would think would have been taken away. But somehow, Reva has used force teleportation. And by force teleportation, I mean stupid writing to appear on Tatooine about 5 seconds after the last episode ended. And you'll see why that has to be in a moment here. Anyway, so Reva's on Tatooine all of a sudden, and she's asking some guy about Owen. I'm looking for a farmer named Owen, right? Because Owen was mentioned on that recording from Bail Organa. Now, the reason I say that she must be there 5 seconds after the end of the last episode is because we cut to the Star Destroyer chasing the transport through space. Okay, now the transport took off from Jabim, has no hyperdrive engine, so it's flying at sublight speed, and it's being chased by the Star Destroyer, which was in orbit over Jabim. So Reva has somehow left Jabim, traveled to Tatooine, like that, and is functional enough to stumble around even though she was conceivably mortally wounded. Okay. So anyway, they're still chasing the ship. And the entire time I'm thinking, tractor beam? TIE fighters? I mean, why are you lumbering along taking pot shots at this transport? Tractor beam? I kept saying it over and over again out loud as I'm watching this sequence proceed. Every time they cut back to the Star Destroyer, I just said, tractor beam? Or alternately, TIE fighters? Anyway, so they're on the transport, and Guy is like, put more power to the rear shields. Yeah, because, the deflector shields on a junk transport are going to be able to resist the turbo lasers of a Star Destroyer with any... Anyway. Okay, so anyway, they're proceeding on, and he says, we'll be fine, everybody. And then he tells Obi-Wan the truth. The power couplings are bad. Our energy's down. I'm working on it, but those shields won't last forever. Those shields shouldn't last more than about 3 minutes against the turbo lasers of a Star Destroyer. That is not a combat-rated ship. It is a transport. It is a long-haul trucking type thing in the Star Wars universe. It is not built for combat or battle. But anyway, so they're talking. There are explosions going on. And you notice there's no panic. I was just so put out. Everything about this scene is so in contrast with what you would think. No one is panicking. And Obi-Wan's just like standing around waiting for somebody to tell him what to do. And then he sees Leia... and she was trying to entertain a child over here with Lola and trying to comfort her. And everybody's just kind of sitting around drinking their juice and just kind of sitting there. There's an alien of some kind. I mean, there's at least an alien here somewhere. Anyway, so Lola is comforting people and making people feel better. And Leia's like, Leia. And Obi-Wan, it's always me trying to find the frame, right? And yeah, he's admiring her, and he says something to the effect of, I could probably use her help. I think he says something to that effect about Lola. He could use her help. And so I'm thinking, what? What does that mean? Anyway, we cut back to Tatooine, and Owen is with little boy Luke, and they walk into a junk shop, a consignment place, I don't know, but it's run by an alien. A species I think is unique to this show. I don't recognize it, at least unless it's coming from some kind of lore thing. It's some kind of guy with bolts in his nose, whatever. Anyway, they're buying a part because Luke broke a part in a thing and a stuff. And then one of the guys that gave up Owen to the Inquisitor walks in and is like, I have bad news for you. Something's very wrong. And, of course, Reva, professional Inquisitor, Jedi hunter, apparently after inquiring about Owen, she didn't hang around to see if anybody might alert Owen and then follow that person. Yeah, so anyway, I guess this guy told Reva where Owen lives, and now she's off and he comes over to warn Owen. So they're both heading to the same direction here momentarily. And then Obi-Wan's like, I'm going to leave and try to distract Vader so that all you can get away. The exact same thing he tried in the last episode that failed utterly and didn't actually help anything. And they're like, the people on the ship, the people that are being chased down, who have no force powers, who have no defense, they got a Star Destroyer on their rear ends. They're like, you said we should stick together. I'm like, lady, he's going to take him what? I mean, it's all a stupid scenario to begin with, but it's like, what use is it to have Obi-Wan on the ship? They're shooting at the ship, right? You guys have no way to escape. If you can distract them, it might help. But I'm still thinking tractor beam, TIE fighters, tractor beam, TIE fighters. And Leia starts throwing a tantrum. I'm like, you can't leave. And he says, you've spent 10 years protecting the Jedi. It's my turn to give back. You must get these people out of here. Yeah, no kidding. Thanks, Obi-Wan. And then he goes to con man, fake Jedi guy, the guy he handed his lightsaber to in the last episode that we never saw getting the lightsaber handed back to. The guy who dropped the communicator, looked at it, and kept going, that eventually gave Reva the information about Owen because plot convenience. And he's like, as soon as I'm in the clear, take Leia back to Alderaan. And he's like, I was a fake Jedi and it may not mean much to you. And Obi-Wan's like, you're Jedi enough, or something. And then he walks away. And then we cut to Aunt Beru. I think this is the first time we've seen Aunt Beru in this series. Hello, Aunt Beru. Or as I like to call her now, Action Beru. You'll find out why I call her Action Beru shortly. Anyway, so Owen comes up to Beru, and he's like, oh, we got trouble. Someone's coming for Luke. And so Owen goes into the house, and he starts arguing with Beru. Owen's like, we need to leave, Beru. We need to take Luke and hide somewhere. He's like, we need to do something sensible. But Action Beru's like, we prepared for this. And Owen's like, if we stay, we're going to need help. And she says, I'm not putting anyone else in danger, Owen. And she goes over to this little, and he's like, Beru, what are you doing? And she goes over this little alcove thing where she's hidden away 2 giant blaster rifles, and she throws one at Owen. Because of the 2 people in this scenario, Action Beru is the one that's ready to take a stand with blaster rifles against an Imperial Inquisitor. And Owen is just a coward for trying to run away. Yes, even now, even at this late stage, I should say, in the story, we have to totally undercut a male character as being weak for trying to be sensible, and the female to take the action portion of the situation, to be the steadfast one, the strong one, the ready to fight one. Yeah, okay. Anyway, so we cut back to the ship. We're spending so much time on the ship for no reason. And Leia's like, I don't want you to go. I want you to stay. And he's like, I wish I could, Leia. Oh my gosh. And then he gives her Tala's holster. Do you remember Tala's holster? Remember back on episode, 3 or 4 or something, when Tala, the former Imperial / Jedi Underground runner, had that holster, and she had those hash marks on it to show how many Imperials she'd taken down, or how many Jedi she saved. I forget which one it was. Anyway, I wish I could find the frame. Oh, here we go. Roken found it before we got out. Okay. So remember Tala, right? Tala, who locked herself in a hallway and blew herself up with a thermal detonator to fight the Empire and buy everyone time to get to the transport. At no point did Roken go back to Tala's corpse. In no conceivable way is that holster as intact as it is after having been blown up with a thermal detonator point blank. It makes absolutely zero sense to say Roken found it before we got out. Now, if she wasn't wearing her holster and I'm just misremembering and she left it in her bunker or something, okay, I guess. but it seems a little odd that she went into battle preparing for the Empire to bust down that door, and she just left her holster in her room or something. And besides which, in that situation, why would Roken go back to find her holster? Throwaway logic, throwaway reason, it doesn't matter. Anyway, Obi-Wan gives Leia Tala's holster. And she's like, it's empty. And he's like, you're 10 years old, Leia. I'm not going to give you a blaster. Well, why not? I mean, she can do everything else, right? She can fix the door at the base on the previous episode. She can lie to stormtroopers better than you can, right? She can even resist an interrogation by an Imperial Inquisitor. Why not give her a blaster? Hey, hell, at this point, hand her a lightsaber and give her Jedi training. I mean, you might as well. But anyway, he gives her Tala's holster. Like I say, it may be the case that she wasn't wearing the holster when she blew herself up. But let's say she wasn't. Captain Ice Cube decided to go back for the holster in the middle of all that nonsense when they were racing for the ship. Okay. Anyway, so they hug, and Leia's the most important thing in the world. And then to nobody, to the air, to the ether, he says, I have to face him, Master. And at this point, I'm like, we're totally getting a Qui-Gon appearance at the end of this, aren't we? I mean, I knew it was probably for sure going to happen, but I knew it was going to happen at this point. Anyway, whether he dies or I do, yes, well, anyway. You don't have to do this, you know. Actually, he does. You have no other options. You have no offensive weapons. Your shields are failing. You have no hyperdrive. You have no options except to try to distract or lead them away. Except, you know, tractor beam, TIE fighters, tractor beam, TIE fighters. But anyway, Obi-Wan's like, no. He's like, by the way, you're a good leader. People follow you. Don't stop. And he's like, I'm just getting started. Oh, yeah, I'm just getting started. Boy, what a bang-up operation you've got going on here. People follow you? Did we see anything over the course of this series so far that exemplified this character as a born leader or anything? The first time we see him, he's irascible, grouchy, and dismissing Obi-Wan and actually complaining about him being there. I didn't see anything about him being a great leader. I don't know. Anyway, so he's a leader. And so Obi-Wan ejects from this cargo ship in this little transport ship. This little transport ship, all right? I don't know how many people could have fit on that thing, but you might have gotten the women and the children onto that deal, because this has a hyperdrive. This could conceivably escape, right? But anyway, Obi-Wan takes the lifeboat all for his own. And then on the Star Destroyer, the Grand Inquisitor starts dressing down Darth Vader for wanting to go after Obi-Wan. My lord, we must continue our pursuit of the insurgents. Now is our chance to wipe out this network in its entirety. Well, you could do both at once. Tractor beam, TIE fighter, tractor beam, TIE fighter. What about a tractor beam? What about your TIE fighters? What are we doing here? Anyway, apparently this ship does not have a tractor beam and does not have TIE fighters. It has one of two choices. Either continue following this transport that has its shields dying and is not combat capable, right? Or following Obi-Wan into hyperspace. That's our only two choices with an Imperial Star Destroyer. Well, of course, he says, we cannot prioritize one lone Jedi. One lone Jedi. What is the purpose of your rank and position, O character? What was all of this for? Why are you here? What, The priorities over chasing Obi-Wan seem to waver from scene to scene, scenario to scenario, where one person has to be obsessed with finding him, and the other Darksider / Inquisitor has to poo-poo that idea, right? Because Reva on Tatooine is like, we will get Obi-Wan. And the Inquisitor's like, you're too reckless. And then Vader's like, I will get Obi-Wan. And it's like, we cannot do that, my lord. We have other priorities. But anyway, so the Grand Inquisitor, subordinate to Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith, starts giving him guff for wanting to chase a Jedi. The Jedi hunters chasing Jedi. Anyway, follow Kenobi, Vader says, and you see the ship physically turn towards Kenobi. No tractor beam, no TIE fighters. The other ship is at sublight speed and can be easily caught and disabled by TIE fighters. Hell, why weren't they using ion cannons on the thing to disable it? Because if they wanted to capture Obi-Wan, whatever. Anyway, none of those things exist. The writers of this show either do not know those things exist or actively decided to ignore their existence in the canon of Star Wars and just basic common sense. So anyway, the Star Destroyer is chasing the little ship. And then we cut back to Tatooine, where Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen get Luke into a safe room, and they say, if things go south, you run and hide. The Tuskens are on the hunt again. They're raiding farms along the wastes. So they lie to the kid, which I guess makes some kind of sense. I mean, if you're going to scare the kid anyway, I guess Tuskens are less scary than a lightsaber-wielding Darksider coming after you. I guess they're still trying to prevent Luke from having any idea why somebody with a lightsaber would be chasing him. Because of continuity. Oh, but continuity is not going to matter shortly. So anyway, Action Beru, they're getting ready. And then Obi-Wan takes them to X planet somewhere. And the Grand Inquisitor is still looking at Darth Vader with judgmental eyes, just kind of watches him walk away. And that's the last time we'll see the Grand Inquisitor. He doesn't show up again. He's gone. In fact, that's the last time I believe we see the Star Destroyer. It just, I guess, hangs out and doesn't do anything. Anyway, Obi-Wan lands on Planet X, and then Vader decides to take his ship down to the planet. His ship. Not his TIE fighter, but a Tidarium shuttle. Why? I don't know. I mean, one person can fly that kind of ship, obviously. We saw Luke do it, but usually it takes a crew of two, but whatever. Okay, so Darth Vader's taking down a Tidarium shuttle. Oh, you mean a Tidarium shuttle that had, I don't know, hyperdrive engines on it that could have followed Obi-Wan all by his lonesome? Or that ship that could have followed the transport, the non-combat ready transport. And even though a Tidarium shuttle is not technically a combat vehicle, it could have taken down that shuttle. Whatever. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We never see that transport or the rebels again. We just assume they make it to some planet somewhere with sublight engines somehow, and that the Empire doesn't chase them or track them down or anything, because whatever. Anyways, Obi-Wan's hanging out, and he takes out Lola, and I'm like, oh, Lola's here. Why is Lola here? Why did he take Lola away from Leia? Oh, is Lola going to do something? Is Lola his trump card or something? Is Lola his ace in the hole? No, Lola doesn't do anything. Lola is there for one reason and one reason only. As an excuse for something that comes later. Anyway, so Obi-Wan leaves Lola on the ship, and Lola just twitters there for a second, and then we cut back to Tatooine. It's difficult to tell where we are from one scene to the next now because everything's dark. It's nighttime on Tatooine. It's really dark on Obi-Wan's planet. Anyway, so Reva's approaching Owen's home. Even though in the time it must have taken Owen to go from the town back to his home, Reva conceivably already knew the location of the home, but it takes her until nightfall to reach this home. How did she reach this home? Don't know. We don't see her riding an animal. We don't see her on a speeder bike. I guess she walked. I guess she walked. That explains why she's there hours after Owen got home. Anyway, so then we cut back to other places. We're cutting back and forth between these two places to keep ourselves updated on what's going on. Darth Vader lands on Planet X, and he gets out, and he walks up to Obi-Wan, and I wish I could find the frame. It'd be nice. Here we go. Have you come to destroy me, Obi-Wan? Who just landed on the planet? Who is pursuing who in this? Not only in the general sense, right, of the Empire versus Jedi in general, but in this very scene, in this very scenario, who is coming to destroy who? Have you come to destroy me, Obi-Wan? You chased him. Who is writing this crap? Are you kidding me? And he says, I will do what I must. Then you will die. Then you will die. You ever see the movie Barton Fink? I know this is a deep cut. There's a movie called Barton Fink. It's about a screenwriter trying to, amongst other things, write the script for a movie. And he's trying to come up with dialogue for his characters. And it's a wrestling movie. And over again, he's kind of stuck on this one scene. And the wrestler, he's coming towards his opponent, says, I will destroy you. And you hear that refrain over several times over the course of the movie, because it's just like, it's meaningful to the story in a way. It's a whole bunch of other things. But anyway, I thought of that scene when I heard this from Vader. Then you will die. Like, I will destroy you. It's like 7-year-olds writing a script. Anyway, so they start having a lightsaber fight, a big shaky cam lightsaber fight. And this lightsaber fight has zero tension to it. Can you imagine why? Oh, that's right. We know that both characters survive to Episode 4, the first Star Wars movie. So they're fighting and they're fighting. And the entire time that they're fighting, I'm thinking to myself, okay, they cannot possibly end this series with just having Hayden Christensen in the suit. There has to be a point at which the helmet comes off. I thought that he was going to take the helmet off on the planet or something. I thought it was going to be something that bad. There has to be a point at which Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor actually get something like screen time. Because otherwise, you've just got a guy in a suit the entire time and 2 or 3 digitally altered flashbacks from previous episodes. So I kept thinking, okay, how are they going to get the helmet off? And I thought to myself, well, they wouldn't do what they did in Rebels, right? I mean, they already did that in Rebels, even though that technically takes place after this. They wouldn't just do the same thing they did in Rebels and have part of his mask be sliced off, would they? They wouldn't do that, would they? They wouldn't be that lazy, would they? Anyway, back to the Lars homestead, and Reva is there with her lightsaber, and she's coming after Owen and Beru, and they start shooting at her. Action Beru! Action Beru with her laser pistol. Now, the one saving grace, so to speak, in this entire deal is that Reva is gravely injured. So her inability to defend herself against a couple of farmers with shotguns is explained away that way, I suppose. And her overall incompetence in combat and other physical exertions in the near future can be explained by that, I suppose. Anyway, so they shoot at her. She deflects stuff. She doesn't get shot, but she's able to knock down Owen and Beru. We'll get to that. Then we cut back to the lightsaber. We can't have a sustained scene. We have to keep cutting back and forth between these two things. We can't watch Obi-Wan and Vader have their climactic lightsaber fight in one sequence. We have to keep jumping back and forth. Anyway, they fight. They're throwing things at each other. They're knocking each other around. And then at one point, Obi-Wan is able to knock Vader down slightly with a rock or something. And I forget exactly. I can't find the frame, obviously, because I can't find the frame. But anyway, So Vader's like, your mercy is a weakness. Oh, he says, you're stronger than last time, but your weakness is still there, and that is why you will always lose. And I'm like, dude, you're a sack of meat inside a robot suit. He didn't lose. He defeated you, like, resoundly. You survived by a miracle of anger and the Force. He didn't lose. He trounced you. But anyway, you will always lose. As you're on one knee, having been knocked down by Obi-Wan. That's why you'll always lose. Anyway, so then Vader brings down all these rocks, and he buries Obi-Wan under a bunch of rubble. And then he walks away. Well, obviously, Obi-Wan's dead. I mean, there's no way that Vader could sense whether or not Obi-Wan is actually dead. Right? He just assumes, well, I dropped 300 tons of rock on him. He must be dead. And now I'll walk away. And then we cut back to Reva, who's like, you really love the boy. And Owen is fighting her with, remember that thing that Luke and Leia and Han tried to use to block the trash compactor in episode 4? I think this is that thing, which I believe was given a name and a function in the Boba Fett TV episode with The Mandalorian. But anyway, he's trying to fight her with a stick. She chops his stick in half and then knocks him down. And then she's going after Luke, who then escapes out of a hatch in the roof. And then he starts running through the desert. And then Reva starts running through the desert. And Beru and Owen stay at the farmstead. They don't go chasing after him. They have no idea where he went. From this point onward, Owen and Beru are just standing outside the homestead yelling Luke, apparently, for technically days, but it won't be technically days. Just wait. Anyway, so Luke is running from Reva. Then we cut back to the other planet because we can't stand one story for too long. And Obi-Wan is underneath this pile of rock, and he's holding up this pile of rock with the Force. I don't know if you can see it. It's probably really dark there, but there's Obi-Wan's face, and there's his hand holding up this giant pile of rock with the Force. You know, the Force that Obi-Wan has been reticent to use for episode after episode now. The Force that he was having trouble calling upon to move a tiny little object on the ship when they were getting ready to infiltrate the Inquisitor's fortress. Yeah, well, now he can hold up 17,000 tons of rock. I mean, I don't disbelieve that Obi-Wan Kenobi could conceivably do that. It's just interesting that, after 10 years of apparently deciding to cut himself off from the Force for reasons unknown, not training, not preparing himself to defend Luke if it came to that, now all of a sudden he can hold up a bunch of rock. I guess he's just reconnected with the Force because Obi-Wan Kenobi would totally distance himself from the Force. Anyway, so in the course of him holding up the rock, we have a whole bunch of audio cues from Revenge of the Sith and from this series, and him remembering, I am what you made me. And then he thinks of Leia. Obi-Wan thinks of Leia, and through the power of Leia, there's one flash to an image of Luke, right? I mean, can you believe that Luke is even important anymore? But he thinks of Leia and Leia and her holding his hand and smiling at him. It gives him the strength to push the rock off and climb out. Oh my God, Leia, the power of Leia. By the power of Leia, I am a Jedi. Anyway. So Vader's walking away back to his ship, and Obi-Wan Kenobi totally ninjas Vader, sneaks up behind him without him knowing. I mean, you got to think the distance between Vader and the pit that he left Obi-Wan in at this point has got to be pretty significant. But Obi-Wan does, force stealth or something, and comes up behind Vader, and Obi-Wan attacks Vader first from behind. Okay, now I know, it is a nitpick that is probably not legitimate in a lot of cases, but Luke Skywalker, I could understand acting more impulsively, right? I could understand that, because he, as much as he was trained to be a Jedi, he had the barest amount of training. Obi-Wan Kenobi, lifelong Jedi, steeped in the Force, steeped in the Jedi code and the Jedi way, attempts a sneak attack on Darth Vader. Not a quip, not trying to talk him down or use some sort of like psychological warfare or try to reason with whatever might be left of Anakin Skywalker. He attempts a sneak attack. I know it's going to sound like a nitpick, and in grand scheme of things, it's kind of a petty thing to say, but as far as I'm concerned, you use the Force for knowledge and defense, never for attack, right? That's what Yoda said? Anyway, so Obi-Wan decides to ambush Vader, and he fails, of course, and then they fight some more. And then Obi-Wan pulls I am a Force God move and raises an army of boulders to shotgun Vader with. And he just smashes Vader. He's doing that, like, I didn't this happen in The Last Jedi, where like at the very end of the movie, Rey raises up a bunch of rocks because now she's a Force God. Well, anyway, so Obi-Wan raises up a bunch of boulders, full-size boulders. We're not talking about like gravel here. And he just launches them at Vader and pelts him. Anyway, and then we cut back to Tatooine because we can't stay on one thing for too long. Anyway, so Reva's stumbling through the desert. Owen and Beru have just decided to stay at the farmhouse and not try to chase after them. And she's chasing Luke into a canyon. And Luke is up here. You can just barely see. And she's looking around like, where is he? Where is he? A dark side Force Inquisitor can't detect a small boy. Not only a small boy, but a small boy that is basically a burgeoning Force God himself. But anyway, she can't sense the Force in Luke, still doesn't know his significance. We cut back to the fight with Vader and Obi-Wan, and they're fighting. And then Obi-Wan, like, totally just skunks Vader, like punches him and slashes his control panel and all types of stuff. And then they're fighting, and 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 they're fighting. And he cut off part of Vader's mask. You guys watch Rebels? Remember that climactic moment where Ahsoka's fighting Vader? And she sort of had, throughout the entire show of Rebels, Ahsoka's been suspicious that Anakin was still alive, but she wasn't sure. She couldn't tell if her senses were betraying her, right? Or some kind of trick of the Force or something. And then that big battle with Vader, she slices off part of his mask, and she sees for the first time and has confirmed, she doesn't have to guess anymore, that yes, Anakin Skywalker is this monster. Very dramatic moment. Very interesting. For the sake of this thing, kind of original. Now, not 100% original, because obviously it happened in The Force Unleashed in the video game a little bit, depending on which choices you made in the game previous. But all the same, for the sake of the affirmed continuity now, it just happens again. The other side of the mask, though, I'll give him that. I mean, before it was the right side of Vader's mask. Now it's the left side. Anyway, so Hayden Christensen's finally revealed, and they have this little exchange, which, I wish I could quote, and the frames will probably not agree with me. But Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, says something like, okay, so Obi-Wan starts apologizing. I'm sorry. You're sorry for what? He is a child killer. He is a mass murderer now. You're sorry for what? Obi-Wan's sorry. He's sorry for all of it. Sorry for what? You are betrayed by the Emperor. You're betrayed by your best friend and Padawan. You are looking at a guy who murdered children and who knows how many other people since, and hunting and killing Jedi, and you're sorry for all of it. Like, Obi-Wan, I hate to tell you this. It is quite literally not your fault. But still, even at this late stage, Obi-Wan Kenobi has to be a pathetic, apologetic, broken man. And then Darth Vader says, "You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did." As though that were some kind of profound revelation or something. Like, what? And it's put out there. And maybe my mind is clouded by the stupidity to this point. But him saying, "You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did." Like, what is that supposed? What? And then they part ways. Obi-Wan leaves him there. They don't continue fighting. Obi-Wan doesn't put Vader out of his misery. Of course, they can't, right? They can't. So they have this giant confrontation. Obi-Wan's like, it's going to be him or me, whatever happens. And Obi-Wan Kenobi leaves a Sith Lord alive. Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, when given the opportunity to destroy the Sith, leaves him alive again. Now, Obi-Wan, I got to ask you something. How'd that work out for you last time? You ever hear the definition of insanity by any chance? So Obi-Wan just books it. He just books it. Now remember, Obi-Wan at this point has absolutely no idea about what's going on with Luke. He doesn't have any clue what's going on with Luke. He just books it. He leaves Darth Vader alive and books it. Back to Tatooine. Reva's still walking around looking for Luke. Now, on the ship, all of a sudden, Obi-Wan has a Force vision. Right? Now he has a Force vision about Luke, that Luke is in danger. He didn't have a instinct about Luke when Luke was being hunted down, 10 minutes ago. But you know what this tells us? This tells us that these events are happening concurrently. Right? Okay, so my thought at the beginning of this is like what's happening on Tatooine is technically in the future. No, all of this is happening at the same time. So Reva literally teleported from one planet to the next. There's no other explanation for how we go from the end of the last episode to the beginning of this one. She just teleported there. Because you see, even though it's always a little fuzzy, traveling through hyperspace is not an instantaneous wormhole event. It takes time. Even in some of the lighter canon of Star Wars, you travel through hyperspace for a period of time to go from planet to planet, system to system. It's not instantaneous. In the old Star Wars novels, it described Jedi and Luke like putting himself into a meditation trance to spend his time and make the time go quicker when he's going through hyperspace in his X-Wing. Because to go from one system to another may take hours. Rather than light years, it takes hours, or maybe even a couple of days, depending. Or you might have to make stopovers because you have to, go around nebula or moons or stuff, that kind of thing. Hyperspace is not instantaneous, except in this show. And here's Lola. By the way, remember Lola? What was Lola here for again? Nothing. Nothing except an excuse. So he goes into hyperspace. Zoom, off to Tatooine. Reva's still looking for Luke, and Luke falls off the cliff and hits his head and now is unconscious. So I guess technically Luke never saw his pursuer, so never had any reason to associate someone coming after him with a lightsaber. I guess that's their explanation for how Luke would go out through the rest of his life having no idea he has any connection to people with lightsabers. Or never having seen one before, practically, when he holds up his father's lightsaber in episode 4. Anyway, Reva is stalking over to the boy. She's standing over him. She's getting ready to kill him for reasons that even she doesn't know, because she has no idea who Luke is, what his significance is. All she knows is that he's somehow important to Obi-Wan, so she's going to kill the child to get back at Obi-Wan, even though we established in the last episode that everything she's been doing has effectively been a farce meant to get close to Vader, to kill Vader, because Vader killed her friends and was... So for reasons that do not exist, Reva has hunted down this child and is getting ready to kill him. Oh, but then all of the sudden she starts having flashback. Oh, wait. Oh, we don't even get to that yet. No, so as she's raising her lightsaber to kill the child, Obi-Wan arrives on Tatooine. He went from Planet X to Tatooine like that. And I don't even mean like in an hour or something. I'm talking about like the exact same time, because he lands at the farmhouse on the same night. And Owen and Beru are out there going, Luke! Right? This insane person with a red lightsaber has been chasing a child, and they're just standing out there going, Luke! So they're yelling for Luke. They don't know the terrain well enough to have any idea where Luke might go. Right? They didn't have any kind of plan as to where Luke might go to safety in case of a Tusken Raider attack. So they're just out there kind of, Luke! And Obi-Wan shows up, and he's like, I'll look in the Dune Sea. We'll search till we find him. And then all of a sudden, out in the distance, a figure appears, carrying the body of a small boy. I forgot. Okay, so I obviously missed the frames. Reva had flashbacks to Vader killing her youngling friends back in Order 66, and then apparently stabbing her, and she's surviving that too, because Reva just survives gut shots with lightsabers. And that stopped her from killing Luke. And in fact, in her mind's eye, Luke became her as a child. You see Luke turn into a young Reva laying there. And oh my gosh, she'd be killing herself. Oh my God, how profound. Anyway, she brings back Luke, who's unconscious but unharmed otherwise. And not unconscious because Reva attacked him because he fell off a cliff. And Owen and Beru just kind of pick up Luke and walk away. And then Reva's just like, boo-hoo, poor me, I'm terrible. Oh my God, I'm a terrible person. Oh my God, Obi-Wan, please forgive me. I'm terrible. Oh God, I'm so terrible. And he's like, have I become him? She says, something to that effect, talking about Vader. And he says, no. You know, you have given your friends peace. You have not become him. You know, never mind how many other atrocities she committed prior to this. We saw her take off an innocent lady's hand in the first episode for no reason other than to intimidate people. We have no idea how many other Jedi she's killed or helped to kill. Remember, the Jedi they came after originally in the first episode to find and then let go, he ended up dying. Did Reva have no hand in that? Was she not present for that? Right? But now she didn't kill a young boy for reasons that don't exist. And now Obi-Wan's like, there, you're all right. You're a better person now. And she drops her evil lightsaber on the sand. And then he says, now you're free. Oh, she's free? Really? An Imperial Inquisitor having betrayed Darth Vader. She's free? Oh, okay. And you're just, absolving her of every terrible thing she's done up to this point? I guess that's what Obi-Wan does now. I guess that's what Jedi do, defenders of the peace, the lawmen of the galaxy. That's what they do now when they encounter a defeated Darksider murderer. Well, let him go. Yeah, and so that's the last we see of Reva. She's just gone, I guess. I guess she just walks out in the desert off to her own spin-off series. Anyway, we jump back to Mustafar, where Darth Vader is briefing the Emperor. And Darth Vader's like, the probes are tracking every system within range. Why? What did your Star Destroyer just leave you after dropping you off on Planet X? Because he left Planet X in his little shuttle and then hyperdrived off to Tatooine. What the Star Destroyer just, yeah, like I said, when Vader left the Star Destroyer disappeared. It didn't go back after the Rebels, and it wasn't there to try to intercept Obi-Wan leaving the planet. It just disappeared. A whole Star Destroyer with an Imperial Grand Inquisitor on it, and TIE fighters, and a tractor beam. Anyway, and apparently Darth Vader just has no idea where Obi-Wan is gone. Because we can't have anybody know that Obi-Wan is associated with Tatooine, right? That has to be kept secret. No one could possibly know that at this point. Anyway, so he's obsessed with finding Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then they brought out Ian McDiarmid to play the Emperor, looking more like the Emperor should look than he looked in Revenge of the Sith with that terrible makeup and the forehead things. I mean, he looks like he should look as the Emperor by episode 4. And Ian McDiarmid is actually old enough now that you probably don't have to do much makeup to make him look like all wizened. And then the Emperor's like, are you sure you're clear on this, Lord Vader? Perhaps your feelings for your old master have left you weakened. If your past cannot be overcome, and then Vader's like, Kenobi means nothing. You see, every time somebody is obsessed with finding Obi-Wan Kenobi, somebody else on the dark side has to say, you think you might be obsessing a bit. Emperor Palpatine. Darth Sidious, Dark Lord of the Sith, is discouraging his enforcer from chasing down the last of the Jedi Council. The Dark Lord of the Sith is discouraging his apprentice from hunting a Jedi Master. Okay. Anyway, Kenobi means nothing. Vader's breathing, and Vader's left in his thing. And then we cut to Alderaan sometime in the future. And Leia's getting dressed, and she's putting on her little white outfit, and she's putting on her holster, her new Tala holster, that significant piece of kit that now signifies her as something other than what she actually is, and that somehow survived, because it's very important that she have this holster. Now, I honestly do not recall if there is a holster of uniqueness that Princess Leia / Carrie Fisher possesses in the other films. Like they're reverse engineering a prop from some of the other films into being significant here. Because she didn't have it on her person in episode 4. I couldn't say about Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi because I wasn't paying attention to her holster. But anyway, she's got her holster. Her attendant comes in. She says, "All right, let's go, young lady. We don't want to keep your..." And she looks down. Look at the cuteness. Oh, look at the sweetness. Look at the purity. The face that launched 1,000 Jedi Masters, lifting rocks off himself. Anyway, she's like, "Oh, a holster. Ha ha ha, holster." And then they gather. Now I want you to look at something real quick. See these two guards? See these two guys? Okay, just remember that those guys are there. So anyway, somebody's coming to visit. And Bail Organa looks down at Leia with that little holster and is like, "What?" And Leia's like, "You said there were lots of different ways to lead." But she says, and basically we're going back to a conversation they had where Leia was kind of like, "I don't want to be a diplomat and I don't want to be a leader." And he's like, "Well, your time will come." And she says, "If I'm going to do this, I'm going to want to change a few things." That's right, old man. I got a holster now. I'm a strong, independent 10-year-old that don't need no lightsaber or something. And he's like, "Ha ha ha, Leia, that's very nice. And he's like, then let's change things together. What things? What things do you want to change, Leia? After your grand adventure off in the galaxy, what things do you want to change? What do you think you're going to do? Anyway, so who's landing to visit? Why, it's Obi-Wan, right? Let's further solidify some mysterious connection between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Bail Organa, and specifically this young child. This young child that's in hiding in order to keep her profile low and under the radar of the Emperor and the Empire, because she's the child of... No, it's okay. Obi-Wan just shows up on Alderaan. Again, abandoning his watching over Luke. Never mind that. Why is Ben here? Why is Obi-Wan Kenobi come? Oh, he hugs Owen. Owen. You know what? Lugs. Getting all my characters, all my old men mixed up here. He hugs Bail Organa. And he compliments Leia. He says, I fear for her future. Do you? Do you really? Okay. So then Obi-Wan goes over to the little girl. And she's like, so what'll you do now? And he's like, I don't know. And it's like, you know exactly what you're going to do, because you're going to watch over Luke, right? Oh, you don't care about Luke anymore. Luke is secondary at best. And she says, I think you should sleep. And he's like, ha, 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 ha. Yes, I do need to sleep. And he's like, Leia, when I said before that I didn't know your parents... And then he spends the next 3 minutes complimenting Leia on how wise she is, and how brave, and how strong, and how intelligent. She is the bestest ever. You are wise. You are forthright. Both of your parents were exceptional people who bore an exceptional daughter. I wish I could tell you more, but I'll just let you know that I know your parents. That there's some mystery to your origin. He says goodbye. Okay, wait, there was a line. I'm not going to fall in the frame, am I? That's my biggest bane of doing it this way, is finding the frame. Now, in relation to her knowing that he knows her parents, he says, no one must know or it could endanger us both. Even though he said this in front of these guards, even though will I ever, that's what it was. Will I ever see you again? She says, maybe, but if, he says, if you ever need help from a tired old man. Half of the galaxy has seen Obi-Wan Kenobi and this little girl running around together. There is a wanted poster out there with his name and face on it. Leia Organa is not an unknown quantity at this stage of the game. Somebody's going to remember. Lots of people saw them together. Why is it significant that Obi-Wan Kenobi comes out of hiding to help Leia? These questions, never mind, doesn't matter. Who cares? Anyway, he gets on the ship and he flies back to Tatooine. And now he's dressed up in his, I'm not sad, gray, old Obi-Wan anymore. I'm more brightly colored Episode 3 Obi-Wan. I got my mojo back, everybody. And then he picks up this bag and he still has that toy. Remember that toy that Luke was playing with in Episode 4? Yeah, Obi-Wan still hasn't given it to him. So he wraps up all this stuff and he's leaving his cave. He's leaving his cave. He's leaving his life of solitude behind, everybody. His sad, sad life. Now he's got his mojo back. He's gonna be a Jedi again. Yeah. He wasn't doing that before for the last 10 years. Now he's got it, guys. He's got it. He's got his groove back. And so he leaves his cave. And then Owen, here's the thing, and this is in the title of my stream here. In the course of fighting Reva, Owen's thrown off of a ledge or something, and he hits his back. Remember how Uncle Owen in Episode 4 was kind of like a little crotchety and kind of limping around a little bit and looking a little under the weather and everything? Yeah, well, okay, his back problem, well, thank goodness we had an explanation for that. Because Owen's back, yeah. So anyway, he's having trouble lifting this stuff, and then Obi-Wan comes out of the desert, And Owen's like, what are you doing here? I don't know, Owen, probably just sightseeing, he just decided to. It's been 10 years, Owen. Obi-Wan has been here for a decade watching over the boy. He has no other reason to be on this planet than watching over the boy. You know this, and you're asking, what are you doing here? Now, I suppose I could understand if Owen had understood that Obi-Wan Kenobi was a terrible protector and actually brought more trouble to the boy than protection. That might be why he's asking, what are you doing here? That's not why he's asking. Obi-Wan's like, you were right. He just needs to be a boy. Why was Owen right? He just needs to be a boy? With the Empire breathing down the necks of everybody on this planet, with the danger as close as it just came, you think Luke now doesn't need to get some training? Oh, okay. Well, he just needs to be a boy. And so the only protection he needs now, Owen, is you. The only protection he needs now is you, Owen.
What? What is that? What the fuck is that?
Obi-Wan is leaving his post, guys. Obi-Wan is leaving his post. He's just like, hell with it. You know what? I'm so sad and pathetic. I did so badly at this. I give up. I give up. I'm done. I'm done. When that Inquisitor came along and you and your wife, Action Baru, you guys got completely, laid to waste basically. And Luke was at her mercy and could have just as well have been killed. Yeah, no. The only protection he needs now is you, Owen. You back-herded water farmer. I'm done. I'm out. Who cares about this stuff? And then Obi-Wan starts walking away. Right? He starts walking away. And then sad Owen. Let's see if can I get sad Owen? I can't find sad Owen. Anyway, so Owen's like, hey, do you want to meet him? So in 10 years, Obi-Wan has never met Luke before. Over the course of 10 years, he's never exchanged a single word with the boy. Oh, okay, so this is their first meeting. Okay, so he walks over and he's got the little toy. Remember the toy from episode 4? It's very important. He walks over to little Luke and he says the line, everybody. He says the line, hello there. And then we cut to black, cut to credits. Oh, sorry, no, he takes off into the desert because Obi-Wan, sorry, that's where I thought it was going to end. Apologies. That's where I thought it was going to end. No, what did I say had to happen? Oh, well, Qui-Gon shows up. I was always here, Obi-Wan. You just weren't ready to see me. I can't find the frame. There we go. You just were not ready to see me. And now they go off together. Because Obi-Wan doesn't need to protect Luke anymore. Luke can take care of himself. There you go. That's... Oh, did I mention that the only reason Obi-Wan went back to Alderaan was to return Lola? The only possible explanation for him being there and showing up again was to return Lola. If I didn't mention that before, let me mention that. Another thing I need to mention that I forgot to mention. In the course of Obi-Wan leaving Darth Vader on that planet, if I could find that frame, that would be a miracle at this stage of the game. Let's see. Can I? No, that's too late. Yeah, he says, and, you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did. Then my friend is truly dead. You mean he wasn't dead when he killed a bunch of children and everything? I'm not going to be able to find the frame, am I? He says something to the effect of, so be it, Darth, and he walks away. Now, there's a little bit of a backstory to this. You see, when the first Star Wars movie came out, Darth Vader was a name. Darth was not a title. That part of the lore came about from the prequels. Darth Maul, Darth Sidious. Darth became a title, a signature ranking of the Sith Order. But back when Episode 4 was written, Darth Vader was a name, an alias it would turn out to be by the time we get to Empire Strikes Back. But at the time, Darth was a first name. That's why in the scene where Obi-Wan Kenobi confronts Vader on the Death Star, and Vader says, when last we met, I was the learner, now I am the master. And Obi-Wan says, only a master of evil, Darth. Because Darth was a first name back then, right? Darth being a title is a retcon. But we have to have some evidence that Obi-Wan would refer to this character by his first name rather than Vader or Anakin, or his knowledge of Sith history and everything would know that Darth is a title and not a name. But he calls him Darth, and he walks away, leaving a Sith alive and everything. Anyway, yeah, that's it. That is the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Obi-Wan Kenobi, who is weak, broken down, helpless, cowardly, incapable, scared, strained. He's useless until he's not, and then he's useless again because then he just kind of gives up. And now he's wandering off into the desert to commune with Qui-Gon because he hasn't been able to do that for 10 years, even though Yoda taught him, supposedly right before they departed ways with each other, how to do it. He hasn't been able to do it in 10 years. It's the first time he's seen him, apparently. Also, just one other little nitpick. At one point, before he goes to fight Vader on Planet X, he's talking to Leia, or he's either talking to Leia or he's talking to Captain Ice Cube, and he says something like, in trying to save everybody, he says, well, I tried. And those of you out there who are at all any kind of Star Wars fans, or even those that aren't, Obi-Wan Kenobi says, I tried. Is there any sort of mantra or sort of notion of determination that's been embedded in us all culturally from Star Wars that might play against that statement or might mean something more? I don't know. Maybe just me. But there you go. That's it. Obi-Wan Kenobi, all done. If there's a season 2, I'm not going to watch it. If there's a Reva spinoff, I'm not going to watch it. I am getting very close to not caring any more about Star Wars, even to the point of having any interest in seeing it to criticize it if it ends up being something worthy of criticism. The Mandalorian season 3, I'll probably watch it. It started to falter with the 2 episodes in Boba Fett that seemed to steal Boba Fett was bad, but putting those 2 episodes of The Mandalorian in there to save the day, boy, oh boy, that was a weird one. But yeah. So I will entertain any comments you guys have real quick before I wrap this up. Sadistic Atheist, he was calling out and talking to Qui-Gon in every episode. Why didn't he show up then? He was literally begging to get advice from him. Yeah. Now that all the danger's passed and everything else, suddenly Qui-Gon's there. And, after 10 years of not answering him, right after episode 3, Qui-Gon's not there to counsel Obi-Wan. In the midst of the greatest disaster the Jedi had faced in thousands of years. Oh, okay. No name. That was retcon to be Ben insulting Vader's title. A good retcon. It was an unnecessary retcon, right? I mean, there's an explanation. They had to explain everything away, I guess. So there you go. It was a retcon that didn't feel earned, but there you go. Anyway. Let's see. Mike Savage says, there is no try, just doing. Yes. Something like that. Let's see. Who else? Jaeger Pony. Hey, he's just some guy. Not like he led armies and was on the council or anything. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Never mind that this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, who always had a twinkle in his eye, even in the worst scenario, who always had a quip ready before he'd bring out his lightsaber. This character is not Obi-Wan Kenobi. This show has nothing to do with Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is somebody's exceedingly bad fan fiction, someone who has absolutely either no knowledge of or care for the Star Wars universe and simple elements of basically physics in the Star Wars universe. A tractor beam, TIE fighters, hyperspace. How did Reva get from Jabeam to Tatooine in a heartbeat? Oh well. Bridget, Scribe, try some anime in the interim. Just watch something good. Well, I'll try. And Jaeger Pony says, did you see what's being said about the Kraven the Hunter movie? Oh, lordy. Yeah. I'm really hoping that Aaron Taylor Johnson is trolling everybody. I hope that is one giant trolling fact. For those of you that don't know, out of reference in the future, right now the rumor, or at least the purported statement from the actor portraying him, is that the Kraven the Hunter movie, Kraven the Hunter is going to be a animal rights activist vegan. Again, fingers crossed that is all a troll. Because if you want to if you want to talk about a most blatant destruction of a character, Kraven the Hunter is a vegan animal rights activist. Okay. Bruno Monteiro, if I had arms long enough to reach the writers from Portugal, I would give such a shake. Bad English. Sorry. No, you're fine. The universal language of disappointment and anger. It is understood greatly. And I'm right there with you. I do not understand. I do not understand how something so bad could have gone through so many people that you would think someone there would have some appreciation for canon. This series was completely unnecessary. It contributes nothing to Star Wars lore or to the universe. It was badly constructed, badly written, badly acted. It made no sense episode to episode. The lack of common sense logic was so egregious. I can't believe that this is what it's come to. This is what it's come to. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Star Wars movies are not perfect gems of storytelling, right? Empire Strikes Back is probably the closest you come to. And the prequels have plenty of problems. But the absolute disrespect for characters here, the absolute contrivance of events to lead from one point to another, so blatantly dumb. It just, yeah. Anyway, I could go on, but I think you've got the point. Let's see. And No Name says, read the original Clone Wars comics from Dark Horse and see just how bad they butchered Jabeam. They used the name. Yeah, that is not the same planet. It's not the same scenario. It doesn't matter. They just took a name that was already established from something else and recycled it for no good reason. I mean, what is the significance of Jabeam? It doesn't matter here. It's just a planet, right? What was Planet X? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Just a planet, right? That's, the significance of these things don't matter. Tractor beams don't exist. TIE fighters don't exist. And Star Destroyers disappear into thin air. And gut-wounded Inquisitors teleport from one planet to another. It doesn't matter. Don't think about it too much. I know I won't after this. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this as much as you could or learned something. If you didn't learn anything, I apologize, but then you get the quality that you get from Lucasfilm and Disney. If you'd like to hear more from me, I will be here tomorrow night, Thursday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for another episode of TED Excellence, where I'll go over yet another off-brand TED Talk for, what shall I use this time? Wisdom and joy. I call it no, I'm not going to finish that thought. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things, even though everyone here is so well behaved, you have very little to do. Everybody who donated, thank you so much for your generosity. I really do appreciate it. I was thinking about doing like a theme week for TEDx. There's so many TEDx's that say something to the effect of, blank is my superpower. There's so many TEDx titles that have superpower in the title, and they're talking about how, shooting myself in the foot with a shotgun is my superpower or something. I don't know, but I was thinking about doing like a theme week at some point. Like 4 episodes in a row of just superpowers things and just randomly pick some. That was an idea. We'll see. Anyway, everybody, hope you all have a good rest of your Wednesday. I hope you are all safe and well. If you are not well, please get well soon, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.